Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want here. You can take control of the airwaves, and that's what we do. We allow you to do that here. Although, even though we're live from Acapulco, Mexico, at the moment, with you here in what is not yet nighttime, because we're in the Central Time Zone and no longer over in New Hampshire.
That's right. Mexico. The sun is setting over the Pacific as we speak.
That's correct.
Yeah. In Mexico, you can be in the Central Time Zone and still watch the sunset over the Pacific.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. We're here, and we managed to actually get everything working tonight. Thank goodness. Thank you to the good folks over at the Genesis Communications Network for helping make it happen for us, as last night was a little bit of a bumpy road. So welcome back to the show. If you want to join us, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm, and looking forward to getting a Discord call at some point here so we can test that out, because we have yet to actually do a Discord call from or while we were producing here in Mexico. Now, we're here ultimately for what's going to happen next week in Acapulco, which has been making headlines for reasons you generally don't want your event to make headlines. The Daily Beast article that hit within the last couple of days made it to the front page of Drudge Report today. And so far, we read the AP piece on the shooting that happened down here. That one was relatively short. There were a couple of so-called anarchists that were shot by, well, we don't really know who the shooters were. There are some theories, and there are, some wild theories as well.
That's the $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
Who did it?
Yeah. So that's what we're working on.
Everybody's blaming the cartels, but one might wonder why the cartels would go and hit somebody over some, like some spindly little marijuana plants. We saw a picture of this haul that the Mexican authorities got in after this mess, and I wouldn't say any of those plants were 2 feet high, would you?
No, but, if you're growing some plants, it suggests that you've probably grown plants before. So
yep, it does.
So who knows whether it was drug cartels or just a jealous boyfriend or some psycho, because there's different theories out there about what has happened. And this Daily Beast article, which we're not going to read here just because it's pretty lengthy, although it does, the AP piece and the Daily Beast article, not friendly to anarchists. They have basically an editorial.
It's a pretty terrible term, as far as PR goes.
They even in the Daily Beast article, they get into the idea that a so-called anarcho-capitalist, which is what some of these people here describe themselves as.
They want unchecked capitalism, I believe is what they said.
And so they don't, they're not real kind to that particular viewpoint, and they even, I think, contrast that to other anarchists who they say are against hierarchies, and so therefore capitalism is anti-hierarchy, is the claim in the article. What do you say to that?
I found the article to be pretty fair and even-handed, the way they went about things. Honestly, if you want to go and use the term anarchist to describe yourself, you're going to need to defend that. You need some kind of defense for the use of that terminology. And while one could say that anarchism means that there are no rulers, okay, great. Then from that standpoint, the only anarchists are the people that call themselves anarcho-capitalists, because basically once you want to eliminate rulers of some sort, besides ruling yourself, I guess, once you want to eliminate rulers, then, then we'll just see what happens. Fine. Okay. To me, the only likely thing is that markets will prevail and people will go on the way that they generally do, and violence will still be used to protect property and those sorts of things. However, historically, the term anarchist doesn't mean that. What it means is a person who wants communism but doesn't want to go through the step of socialism like the Marxists do. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I can see why, if you choose this term, that it both means that it's confusing historically and is a synonym for the term terrorist. Anarchy is a synonym for the term chaos. Mm-hmm. To pick for yourself this term is, to me, a hill on which not to die. It's like a person who likes kids calling themselves a pedophile, right? I like kids, and pedo and phile means liking kids. Okay, so I mean, yeah, you could.
I think we had somebody calling to troll the show with that opinion at one time.
It's you're right. It's a good troll, but not. And I consider that calling yourself an anarchist is a good way to catch people's attention. However,
right, but are they going to really keep paying attention and instead just blow you off because they have a preconceived notion of what that means? Now, I'm not interested in battling for the life's blood of a term like that. I'm just not interested.
I'll say this, the Circle A and all the stuff that goes with anarchism.
Cool logo.
Yep, it's punk rock, right? People like it, and fine and dandy. You do it. You do you. Whatever's good for you. But I don't personally think that the term is of any particular value, especially if you're just this is my feeling. Socialists and libertarians arguing on the internet over who's the real anarchist is the dumbest show on the internet.
Yeah, sure.
It's just dumb. I mean, and they do it constantly. I am not going to argue with a socialist over their term that means terrorist to the average person.
Yeah, it's just not worth fighting over. It's, like you said, it's a cool logo, but really, why bother? You can make a new cool logo for whatever it is that you want to be.
The V for Vendetta logo is pretty cool.
Heck yeah, that's a cool V for voluntarism.
Yep,
right?
V for voluntarism. And I like the term voluntarism, whereas though some people use it as a synonym for anarcho-capitalist, I don't.
It's not at all that. I mean, because anarcho-capitalist says right there in the term capitalist.
Right.
And that's another word that is just misunderstood, and I don't even know what it really means. Does it mean corporatism? Does it mean, that money in the hands of the few? Who knows what it actually means? Why would you want to label yourself with that, number one? I think that's a mistake. But a voluntarist is just simply somebody who believes all human interaction should be voluntary. So if you want to be a communist, as long as it's voluntary, cool, man. Go ahead, have a commune. If you want to be a capitalist and, own a bunch of capital and, have employees or whatever, cool, man, go right ahead.
Yeah.
I'm not into either of them, honestly. I mean, I recognize the value of having capital and putting it to work. I can see that. But at the same time, I don't want to deal with employees. Nope. I don't want to deal with running some, mega company or whatever. Not interested.
Right. I don't consider myself a capitalist in the sense of, all the stuff that goes with the term, exploiting labor and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not that.
Right.
I have a little business here, and, there are two people in the business, and we have a few people that do some work for us.
Well, if you're using the term business, maybe you mean as in something that keeps you busy, but this show is run by a church.
Right. So the show is an organization and that sort of thing, right? So we have a little organization, two people run the organization, and everybody else is basically a contractor that chooses to work for us or chooses not to work for us. And if they at some point feel like they're being exploited, they need to let us know.
Sure.
And if not, they can go on strike or do whatever it is that they feel like doing, but I don't care.
We've never had that problem.
No. Well, I've gone on strike every once in a while. But
that's true. You're the only problem, actually.
Perhaps.
Let's go to the phones here. We got Larry, because we can take your calls, even though we're in Acapulco, Mexico. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Larry is in Indianapolis, normally listens on WIBC on weekends or Saturdays, which maybe someday we can be on weeknights on that station. But you're still here. Go ahead, Larry. What's on your mind?
It must be nice. Anyway, I talk about this one guy, Bezos.
Mm-hmm.
He's got all the money he needs, right?
Yep.
Seems like
How would he stoop so low to be out trying to keep somebody from putting new pictures of him in the Enquirer? Why would he
What's he
care?
trying to do? I agree with you there. Why would anyone care?
The Enquirer has some naked pictures of them, right? That his ex-wife had, I guess, that shows what his junk looks like. And now
all right, let's talk about it. Hold on. I saw this on the Drudge Report today. I didn't take a close look at it, but I don't know if are you familiar with the story?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
All right. So private parts, photos, internets, billionaires. It's all coming together now. 855-450-FREE. When is Trump? Is he next? It's Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. We're here in Acapulco. for day number 2 of what will be a marathon broadcast, definitely our longest ever from some remote location. We've been out camping festivals for up to a week, and this is going to be not quite 2 weeks. We're going to be close.
Not quite 2 weeks? Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be about 12 days. Maybe 13, no, 12. Actually, you know what? The guys are going to come in and give us a night off on Wednesdays. So they had so much fun this week. I said, you guys want to come back in? We'll take one more night off, and so that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
So, yeah. And that's actually a perfect night for us because that's the night we need to be actually apparently setting up, or that day we need to be setting up for Anarchapulco, which is coming up next Thursday. So that officially starts on the 14th, but there's also a few things that happen sort of in tandem with before and after Anarchapulco.
Right, if you want to see a list of them, just read the Daily Beast article. They're really very clear.
They went through it, yeah.
Right, there's the Dollar Vigilante event that's going on ahead of time, the TDV Summit, and I'm curious as to what's going on there. I'm going to go check that out. Haven't been to that in particular, but
I think that's for the investor types who follow his newsletter. I think he's got a newsletter.
Yep.
So
and
it's a smaller event.
Then Anarchapulco, the 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. There's the Infinite Man Summit. I believe the Infinite Woman Summit, I've heard.
This is like dating advice or something like that, or relationship.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's going
to...
Yeah, something like... It's not just
Sasha
that.
Day game, I believe.
It's how to live your life, presumably.
Okay.
Then there's some...
If you haven't figured that out yet...
something like the snake and the cobra and the jaguar.
Oh, yeah, somebody's doing ayahuasca journeys.
Stuff like that.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, well...
too bad I don't have any days off.
Yeah, too bad. But at Anarchapulco, Ron Paul, Judge Napolitano, Doug Casey, Larkin Rose, biggest names in the liberty movement. They'll be gathering for a festival of free thinkers, voluntarists, libertarians, and caps at Acapulco, Mexico. And that's the 14th to the 17th, You'll love the lineup of speakers discussing entrepreneurship, investments, politics, philosophy, health, sustainability, lifestyles, personal relationships, family for 4 days among the sun and beaches of a world-class resort. And, of course, Free Talk Live will be there again. Go to anarchapulco.com, use code FTL to register and receive a discount. It's anarchapulco.com, code FTL.
Let's go back to Larry in Indianapolis. Larry, you asked the question about apparently Jeff Bezos. Somebody's got some pictures of his junk, and have they published the junk photos yet, or are they threatening to publish them?
They threatened to publish the pictures if he don't retract the story he had in his paper, the Washington Post. But that is so stupid. Everything now is turned to sex, And the guy, I mean...
Oh, well, now, wait a minute. How is that any different than any other time in the past? I mean, remember the lady with the cigar and the dress, Bill Clinton, Lewinsky?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that Athens and Troy went to war over sex.
Yeah, I mean, sex has always been a thing.
I mean, but what would you in a day and age like today... If you had that kind of money, you wouldn't be exposing yourself to anybody like the guy from the Inquirer because he's a sleaze, and you would keep yourself above the fray. But it appears to me that men are just trying to be men and getting caught up.
Well, apparently even a billionaire, an incredibly successful person like Jeff Bezos, isn't above showing his junk to some lady on the internet, basically.
Right. If maybe somebody wants to see it, maybe there's a hot and bothering conversation going on.
Who wants to see it? That's my question.
I don't know. From what I hear, women don't much care for that sort of thing, but
you can't be generalizing. Some do.
There's probably some who are into it. And who knows? Maybe she's working him. Maybe she's not actually into him. Maybe she just wanted to get the evidence so she could hold him, blackmail him or ransom him.
Hey, look.
Yeah, but I agree with what you said earlier, Larry, and that is, who cares? Like, why should he care? Like you said, he's got billions of dollars. What's he gonna do? Like, is somebody gonna boycott Amazon over this?
Or people will just be looking funny at you, or women will be looking at you funny. They know what they want.
Maybe women will be attracted to him. Maybe I don't know what it looks like. I mean, I haven't seen it, but maybe it'll attract more women to him. Who knows? Larry, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Thank you for the call. He's awfully jovial tonight, a little more so than normal.
Well, he gets to talk about something funny.
Nothing more fun than talking about junk on the radio here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But, I don't know what the real story is. I do remember I looked at one of these pieces that is reporting on this today, and apparently Trump has weighed in on the Bezos situation.
Of course he has.
He called him Bozo. I guess that's his name for him.
Well, they're not big fans of each other.
No, Trump doesn't like him because he bought that, Washington Post? And the Post has been critical, I guess, of Trump.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Trump, I've got some Trump-related news. He is, let's see, I guess I didn't watch the State of the Union address, but apparently it's got a lot of people talking. Specifically, people who supported Trump. They are not happy. They are saying that Trump is going back on his promise. Trump apparently said during the State of the Union address that he's calling for the largest numbers ever of legal immigration.
Finally.
Saying,
Finally,
quote,
I can tell these fellow Republicans that they're just a bunch of xenophobes. Because go ahead and make the statement here. Go ahead and make the statement, please.
You mean the news story here?
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the headline here. This is the exclamatory headline by InfoWars, which, of course, supported Trump in his election, and now they feel like they've been bit in the back. They feel like they've been stabbed here by Trump. The byline here, so headline, Trump stands by his SOTU demand, State of the Union, demand for, quote, largest numbers ever, unquote, of legal immigration, quote, we need people. The byline below that is, in the past, Trump would make 180 policy reversals like this every week, only to go back to his campaign promises after massive outrage from his base. But later in the article, they conclude that it doesn't look like he's going back on this. Lately, he's been making 180 reversals without going back on anything.
So Trump ran on a populist platform of let's go after the bad people from the outside, and, crime and immigration and all that stuff, right? And that's a good way to get elected. Why? Because in America, everybody's got a vote, and at everything, half of the population is below average. So we had 50%.
No, we argued about this before,
right.
But go ahead.
It is true that half of the population is below average when it comes to voting.
Well, no, you can only say it was true when it comes to, I think it was intelligence quotient, because average is set at 100 or something like that.
Right, but there are people that
You're thinking of median again, Mark, and we've had this discussion.
A median is a form of average, and it's not worth arguing about, okay?
Yeah, no, it's not, but you're wrong. Let's move on.
All right.
Half the population is below the median. That's the correct statement.
About 80% of the population is wholly unqualified to vote. How's that?
Okay, that's a valid opinion.
All right. They can't name their congressman. They can't name their senator. They probably can't even name the vice president of the United States. If some of the stuff I'm to be believed that I see on the internet, they can't find the United States on a map. All right? These people are unqualified to cast a vote.
And now they're mad. A lot of them are upset because Trump is apparently going back on his rhetoric during the campaign and supporting immigration, albeit legal immigration. It is free.
Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveItPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, or BTC. And now you can use Bitcoin Cash, BCH, to fund your account. You can save between 5 to 33% on things you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveItPurse.com. Add items to your cart, fund your account, select your discount, and save. SaveItPurse.com. Save ATPurse.com.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. You can go there to get interactive with other Free Talk Live listeners 24 hours a day. There are people usually hanging out in the various different chat rooms on our Discord, so head on over there and enjoy that feature for free.
Bitcoin.com is Bitcoin.com is your premier source.
You didn't start drinking yet, did you?
I did have a little bit of this aloe drink that we had the other day. What is that?
Those are tasty, though.
Yeah, it's Vita Aloe. Vitalo. It's very good. Nothing in it.
Anyway.
Yeah, except aloe. Little aloe chunks.
You didn't pay Bitcoin for it, though, sadly.
I did not. Bitcoin.com is your premier source for everything Bitcoin related. Bitcoin.com can help you choose a Bitcoin wallet. Buy Bitcoin. Show you where to spend your Bitcoin. You can even get some free Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. You can also read the latest news or engage with the community on the Bitcoin forum. Learn more at Bitcoin.com.
All right, so we are here in a very, very beautiful place, but of course, like a lot in life, contrast exists here in Acapulco. We talked about the murder that went down a couple weeks ago that, of course, has everybody talking. I imagine it's going to be the number one subject of conversation at the upcoming Anarchapulco for conversations happening off of the stage. And, we're looking at an amazing sunset here. It's very, very beautiful here, but of course, the street and dogs running around, and there's the whole contrast exists from beautiful to not so attractive here. So every place has that kind of thing going on. You're welcome to join us as we go to the phones. Let's go to Mortified Penguin. He is on our Discord lines. Hello there.
Hey guys. I just tuned in a little while ago, and I'm caught the tail end of a conversation. Anarchists, in terms of anarchists.
Okay, I thought you were going to go into the median and the average thing. Okay, go ahead with the anarchist comments.
I'm not really a math guy. Didn't think math would be involved in the show. But I wanted to talk about that. So. And I said I would like the term voluntarist. And I did not like the term anarchist, and I totally agreed with Mark's position on this. And where I am now, I totally I'm having this conversation with you a year later. So I have commonality with concept of anarchist, and I understand that it does connotate terrorist to a lot of people. Anarchists have supposedly shot presidents, they've shot the Archduke, I guess, and but there is a historical group of ideologies called anarchism, and it's kind of widespread, and a lot of people would say this kind of anarchist are real anarchists, this kind of people are not real anarchists, but there is a historical basis for it. I don't consider myself an anarchist for certain reasons, but I definitely understand that a certain ideological spectrum is something called anarchist thought, and I think that when you tie it in with that, it can be a useful term. So it can also be, an unhelpful term.
I'm willing to concede the term anarchist thought. Okay, there are people that I certainly didn't deny this, that there are people that have called themselves anarchists in the past, and many of those people have written. And a lot of those people, the things they have written make a lot of sense to me when I read them. Now, that again, a lot of the stuff I read from a lot of different types of authors make a lot of sense too. However, I'm willing to concede the term anarchist thought, anarchist writing. However, for me, it is a term that is of basically no use to call oneself. And I'm willing to go, I'm going beyond myself. I'm saying, I think that you, the listener, should abandon this term because it's of little use.
Most of our listeners would never consider calling themselves
I'm just saying
this.
that you, the listener, should abandon this term.
Yeah.
And if it's being used by the major mainstream media, it's probably being misused.
It has in all of the articles I've read so far.
Except for the anarchist shot in Acapulco, right? They called themselves that.
Well, no, they called themselves that, but it's been torn apart by the media. It has not been used nicely in any way, shape, or form.
It's never going to be.
Yeah.
So the anarcho-capitalist and voluntarist thing. Anarcho-capitalism is kind of a politico-economic kind of prescription, and voluntarist is more ethical, from what I understand.
Correct. A voluntarist or voluntarist is somebody who believes that all human interaction should be consensual. That's it. That's all that means. So whatever it is you do,
hard to go after it, right?
Make sure you believe that make sure it's consensual. Okay? That's all. I mean, that's so simple. And like you said, it is hard to assail. I mean, certainly once you get into the issues, then people can get a little confused, like, well, how would the government work if it weren't coercive? And that leads to some interesting conversations.
Right. What if the criminal who's on the lam for a series of murders doesn't consensually want to go to prison? How do you deal with that? And, those sorts of things. Obviously, in that circumstance, that person has already violated somebody's consent. And once you violated somebody's consent, then, an equal amount of justice can be meted out against you.
I had an interesting conversation with the program director and owner, actually, of our station in Aberdeen. Now, they're not with us this hour, but they are on the third hour of the weekday show now. They used to be a Saturday-only station, and then when Michael Savage cut his show back this year, we got an hour on weeknights. And he told me that he self-describes as a libertarian, so I learned that about him recently. He also brought up Adam Kokesh. And apparently he had come across Adam Kokesh in his run for not president, and so that led to some interesting questions. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on the phones. You want to listen to a program director and give them time to talk if they want to talk. But at the same time, I'm like, this is a deep conversation, and I don't really have
you should call in.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Or better
about
yet, I could come on his show.
Everybody who agrees and disagrees with my points of view, or at least disagrees with my points of view, please, rather than finding me at the corner of some convention or trying to get me to talk about it on Facebook or whatever, call in.
I don't think, because we're sitting here waiting for people to talk to us, right? Basically 3 hours a night, every night, and most people don't take advantage of that. Not that, we're that interesting or anything, but if they wanted to get on the radio, they certainly could.
We don't have to be interesting. We have 500,000 people that listen to our show in a given month.
It's not that hard. But one of the reasons I was bringing up the fact that I had this conversation with him is because Adam Kokesh is basically as a voluntarist campaign platform. He's saying he doesn't want to be your president. He wants to have an orderly abolishment of the federal government. And that led this self-described libertarian program director to ask some good questions. Like, what does that actually mean? He didn't reject it immediately out of hand. He just wants to know what it means. Like, how does that work for the military? How does that work for courts? How does that work for, cops, which is why I didn't have an hour to sit there and talk about
cops,
it. But
courts,
these are
causeways.
But these are good questions.
Military.
These are good questions. Or the overarching question was, well, how do we, get this? How do we not have this government that we currently have? How do you go from what we have to where we don't have that? And you can't just answer that as this overarching, let the market handle it. That's sort of this pat answer that you
can't centrally plan it.
Right, that we can throw out. But at the same time, even though we can't centrally plan it, we still have to be able to communicate some sort of vision, some sort of idea for what could possibly happen. And that's why what I would recommend doing in that case is just asking the individual who's asking this sort of broad stroke question of, well, let's take it down to an individual issue. Pick a government program, a federal government program, and let's think about, what it could be like without the government doing that coercively. Could that thing that they're doing, military, could that thing, NASA, could that thing, weather, could that, the things that
roads.
Roads. Mm-hmm. So just look at the one thing. Could that be done? Yeah, could that be done without coercion, without the institutional violence that currently backs all these programs?
That is taxation.
And the answer is, of course they can. Now, whether or not, we will
maybe
agree
they can't. Some programs really cannot be continued in the face of
give me one.
A program that won't be continued. Yeah. I guess I'm not quite ready for it.
Okay, you've got a little bit to think about it. Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Penguin. I appreciate hearing from you. By the way, our first caller there on our Discord server from Acapulco, and it sounded good. So thanks for that.
Sometimes bridges won't be built to places that otherwise the government would build bridges to.
Well, okay. If somebody wants a bridge, they got to fund it.
How about plastic recycling? That simply won't happen.
There's more on the way here. You can take control of the airwaves. This is Free Talk. Hey, it is Free Talk Live here and live from beautiful Acapulco, Mexico. The sun has officially set at this point. And you can join us here on the radio. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We haven't even identified ourselves tonight. It's Ian and Mark.
Ian and Mark.
Here with you.
We have been doing the show for like 17 years. So
yeah, but it's always somebody new tuning in for the first time tonight. That's just how radio works.
That's true.
So again, you can join us here, the toll-free number. And I got to say, I've appreciated the level of participation we've had from our callers so far since we've been out here. Honestly, I like talking to people better than I like listening to myself and you, Mark, but we're going to continue, actually. We got more calls on the line here, so we're going to the phones. Again, toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Bobby actually specifically requested to not be put on next, so we're actually going to go back to Discord, and that's where you can join us over at discord.lrn.fm. But first, Mark, you wanted to tell us about something?
Yeah, I wanted to tell you about the spy course. You can go get a free book that will discuss how you can, the 37 things that you can do, 37 items you must have to survive a crisis. It's free for a limited time at freeescapebook.com. It's written by a former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author, Jason Hansen, and he's giving away a book that covers the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis, things that can save your life in an economic collapse or a grid-down event at freeescapebook.com. These 37 items don't come from some internet list. Instead, they're items that come from Jason's experience as a CIA officer, where he had escape bags. It's all in his free book, and it also gives advice on what are the best guns, knives, flashlights, water filters to have in an economic collapse or grid down event. Get your free copy at freeescapebook.com.
All right, we're going to Discord. Charles Thunder is on the line, a.k.a. Victor. Go ahead. Calling from New Jersey.
Victor. Hi, guys. My name is Victor. You guys can call me that. That's totally fine.
Charles Thunder is a pretty cool name, though. I mean,
oh, got it. We're one of those random name generators for World of Warcraft years ago. So I heard you guys talk about this topic a few weeks, maybe a month ago again, where you guys were talking about averages and math, and my brain has been spiraling ever since, and you brought it up again today.
Right, because we're just talk show hosts. We're not mathematicians.
Of course. And I'm only a 6th grade math teacher, but there's nothing more that I teach in math other than mean, median, and mode and averages and all of that. So I had to pick Mark apart for his idea of calling medians an average.
Thank you so much for this. I appreciate that.
How come people agree and disagree on this one? Can you tell me that as a teacher?
They don't know what they're talking about.
They could be the case.
I think it's mostly because the word average is synonymous with the word mean, and therefore a mean is not the same thing as a median. They're delineatedly different in math when you teach it to 6th graders.
Can you teach it to Mark like he's a 6th grader?
I could try. I've done it for about 3 years now, and I think I might be able to do it.
Now, you have to do it without the benefit of a chalkboard or a whiteboard where, we can actually have a written list of numbers, because it usually helps to see some numbers in front of you, for instance.
True. I mean, Einstein said if those who understand it most can explain it the simplest, or something along those lines. So I think I could do that. So a median is a measure of center. It's the exact language I would use. And all of them, averages and modes and any other delineation of math that you might do, whether you're dividing or multiplying any other number to get some sort of measure of center, would be that's how I would describe it. So median is a absolute physical center, but it is a measure of the center. And it's not a very good measure of center in the sense of getting an idea of where things may fall. It's just half of them will fall above and half of them will fall below. That's about all that median gives you.
So you're not going to tell me what mean is versus a median?
Do we need to bring 3 of these things into it? I think we should keep it simple and compare median versus average.
I understand. So let me ask you this question. In a set of 300 million, and you start a people, right, where they're going to be, the bell curve is going to be steep. So is there an operative difference between a mean and a median in a set of 300 million people?
There may not be a mathematical, well, there still could be a significant mathematical difference between the two numbers. Significant meaning, valuable or determinant in the sense of what might be the best measure. But I would say that either one in a large mass of numbers becomes more and more fuzzy about what is the measure of center.
See, for me, what I find frustrating is that Ian ignores the topic of which I am speaking, which is this sort of unrateable sort of value of somebody's vote. Somebody being above and somebody being below, whatever the mean, the median, or the average, whatever. I don't care.
Mean is average. Average is mean. Same term or same concept,
right,
different terms. Median, different concept.
Fine. Whatever the difference is in this imaginary situation, because there's no real way to tell whether somebody's qualified. I'm of the opinion that the average person, the mean, the median, or whomever we're talking about here, is unqualified. That you need to be highly qualified to, in fact, vote because, and I'm probably not even
Mark,
that qualified.
I get what you're saying. All you're saying is that you believe in the data set of 300 million people that the median would be relatively close to the average.
And by relatively,
that may be true.
I mean insignificantly different.
Well, that may be
really
true.
Does depend on the skew of
the
value of the numbers.
But it depends.
And we don't know what the values of the numbers are because there's no way to really quantify whether a person's qualified to vote or not.
All I was quibbling with you about is your definition of the being in the middle of something.
I'm glad we could agree it's a quibble.
That is a median, okay? So just get it right.
I like the term.
You're upsetting the math teacher, okay?
I like the term below average. Right? There's the there's the NPR show, whatever it was called, where all the kids are above average because that's what people believe about themselves. If you go and ask the population, is your IQ above, at, or below the median? Are you at 100? Most of them are going to say they're above average. Like 80% of them are going to say they're above average because that's what people believe about themselves. That they're the ones that's qualified, and the rest of us aren't.
Yeah, like you.
I absolutely believe that.
I would say that there's probably a significant number of people. The difference between them would be a significant number of people who believe that they're above versus those who might say, I'm just average. Of course, no one's going to give themselves any of that sort of humbleness.
Some people do. Some people do. I see it on dating profiles and things like that on the different dating sites.
I've seen the numbers, but what nobody says is below average intelligence.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, you've got to really be below average intelligence to say that.
All right, so
the evidence is I'm pretty below average. I mean, I've had some real whoppers at times as far as decisions go.
So let's just make sure that we get all the definitions out here. So you defined what a median is, Mr. Math Teacher. Now, can you define what the average or the mean is? The same concept, different words for that.
The average or mean would be the sum of all the values of every number in a data set divided by the number of values of the number of data themselves.
Correct.
So that could be mathematically manipulated even further, where obviously you can get standard deviations and other things, but that just takes it further.
Right, and that means that if you have a set of, let's say, a group of people, and you've got some whiz-bang, kids in the gifted class or whatever, and then some more average IQ folks in there, and you add their IQs together and divide, they're going to skew it higher, right? So if you got a couple people with 200 IQ points and then some folks with 90 or 100, it's going to skew up a lot higher because of that.
It depends on the number of people in the data set again, because you could have 2 and then 300 million, and obviously that won't skew the data very much at all. You'll still have a traditional bell curve, but 65% of all people will fall somewhere between the first and standard deviation, which will mean that most people will be probably between 70 to 120 on the scale. And that's just rough, throwing numbers out there.
That's just rough.
There you go. Victor, anything else you want to share tonight?
No, not a problem. Glad to throw in some math help.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate hearing from you. All right, so there's Discord.
I'm still not convinced. I just like the term below average.
Fair enough, dude. Let's go on to, you can use the wrong word if you want, as long as you want. At least we've determined, thanks to our math teacher friend there. Go ahead. Bobby's in Florida, also on Discord. Do we have Bobby in Florida? I see him sitting in the Discord. There you are. What's up, dude? You're on the air.
Can you drag yourself out of whatever stupor you're dealing with here, Bobby?
I'm sitting here, I'm smoking some cannabis oil.
Sweet. Okay, let's put the cannabis oil down for just a moment and go on the radio. So go ahead. Actually, wait. Yeah. Hold that thought. You better have something for us coming up here, Bobby, because we're not going to be able to spend a bunch of time on it.
Expert.
Stand by, Mr. Expert. We'll come back to you here in just moments. Expert. Yeah, not expert caller so far, so we'll see. Hopefully he's got something coming up. maybe you do as well. Maybe you want to join us here. Hour number 2 is on the way, 855, 450 free. Plus, we got to talk more about Trump and immigration coming up on...
Ike was such a sweet, lovable animal, and people would want to pet him, and they'd come up, and they'd get close to him, and it would be this instant, oh! My dad didn't want to touch him. It's like, ooh, get the stinky dog away from me.
Even after we'd give her a bath, she would still stink.
Very stinky, both bad breath and bad gas. I asked the vet, and he said some dogs are just stinky.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
The ingredients convinced me that it was definitely worth trying. After about a week, he started smelling normal. My husband and I were really kind of astonished.
Dinovite is nutrition.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and we're here in Acapulco. The sun has set on this Friday night. I know last night there was some kind of party going on nearby until late into the night. I imagine it's going to be a lot of that going on in Acapulco proper here. We're actually in the older part of Acapulco is where we're located.
Yeah, I think they call it Old Town, maybe Vieja.
Yeah, it's like, kind of like an old beach community. We can actually see the John Wayne house.
And by that, they mean the house in which John Wayne lived when John Wayne lived.
Correct.
And we're not too far we're just up the road from the place where Johnny Westmiller lived. You know who that is?
No, I don't know that one.
Okay, so he was the 5th Tarzan, but the one that created the... No
kidding.
And if you get a chance to sort of see pictures of this guy, this guy was the archetype of the male body in, say, the 1930s. This is what he was to look like. And, but I mean, he was like 6'3" or something. He was huge by his standard. But nonetheless, when he has his shirt off, he's not 6-pack abs and giant pecs. That's something that's all sort of brand new. This guy was very plain by modern standards. It's really kind of interesting to see. Then Errol Flynn's house is just down after that, too. You can see each of their houses from the last one.
So we can talk more about Acapulco, and I'm sure we will as time goes on, but we're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. You can join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We also have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms, and that's where we're going to go back. We're going to give Bobby another chance here to actually get some words out of his mouth that will put our stations in jeopardy. So you sound really stoned tonight, Bobby. Go ahead with
Try to keep it together, pal.
Yeah, go ahead with
Thank
what you're
you.
calling about.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that you guys were sounded very good, especially for being all the way in Mexico.
Technology, my man, it has come a long way, even in the broadcast business, which tends to be behind the curve by about a decade. It's come a long way.
There's a lot of people talking smack because there's a little technical difficulties, but there's a couple people that were trying to work together and tell people how to get in so they could keep listening. And you guys,
are you referring to our show last night, which had issues? Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure what difficulties.
No. There were people on Discord that were being a little rude to you guys.
I haven't even noticed, honestly. It's hard to keep track of Discord when you're here on doing a live remote.
I appreciate those people making our Discord chat that much more exciting.
Well, maybe they're upset that we're not on Twitch, because normally we have Twitch, and that is our video streaming platform over at twitch.lrn.fm. But if you were to go there right now, there's nothing streaming. Or at least we're not. There might be somebody streaming some video game or something like that. But we're not. Technically, we could pull up a Twitch stream, but it would be very clunky to have Twitch, because we would only be able to do it from a cell phone. So the Twitch
My wife would have to stand there the whole time holding the cell phone. She's not going to do that,
and it wouldn't hear the phone calls, so it would be useless. I mean, so we could do Twitch during a break or something like that, and that would be about the extent of it. We could do a Twitch update randomly through during the day or something.
We could wait till the top of the hour break and then jump in the pool during the break.
I'm not going to do that.
No,
not in the mood. I already went.
I heard you guys say last segment or two, Acapulco is actually the 14th to 17th, or are you guys there at the conference now? So you guys are just kind of chilling out before the conference?
Yeah, Mark's been chilling out since the first day of the month, and he invited me to come up here since they got a nice little house here at the, not quite on the beach, but you can basically see the water from here. It's a very, very nice view. And, I mean, I would say if you threw a stone real good, you might be able to get it into the water over there. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. We're close. We're darn close to it.
I'm glad you guys got to get down there, and thank you guys.
Thanks, Bobby. I appreciate hearing from you.
I got a couple. Hey,
you still haven't gotten to the point yet?
No. Because I told you I'm good, right? What I'm good at is celebrity. Like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber has one out.
Are we talking about pictures of junk right now? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, so Bieber is also, that's not a surprise, right? I mean, he's under the age of 20, so I mean, or 20, he's probably older than that now.
Leo Laporte has one.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy?
Yeah.
Okay, now that's a shocker.
I'm not going to post the direct it's the link. I'll put it in the Discord right now for you. So
Wait a minute. Wants to see it.
Hold on, Bobby. Is this wait a minute? Is this
people
new?
Are just leaving our Discord and droves.
No, it's
now.
not new. It's actually
about 3 years ago. So, anyways, this is he got divorced from his wife, and then he.
Are we talking about Leo Laporte now? I'm sorry, I'm not sure whose junk we're talking about. Okay, Leo Laporte, the host of This Week in Tech
guy,
and the tech guy on radio. Yeah, okay.
He's on Twitch also, and you guys noticed him.
He's usually got about 10 times the amount of viewers that we have on Twitch, so this guy is pretty big.
Sure, but he's been around for a long time, but he was on TV. He used to be on Tech TV.
Okay.
Which used to be on, a lot of cable station stuff before they went out. So that's he kind of got, he didn't cheat, but he was on TV. You guys never had a national TV show.
Oh, but Mark sure would love one. Wouldn't you love to have your own television show?
If they brought it to me,
right?
I mean, I don't want to have to do the work to make one.
Bobby, thanks for the call tonight. I think that's enough junk talk for the moment. The toll-free number here, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I guess the fact that Leo Laporte's got one out there, Justin Bieber. I mean, again, this is pretty common. So, why Jeff Bezos got all upset about being blackmailed by the National Enquirer or whoever it was. I think that's what I recall from the story, but I did not read it in detail.
Yep. Soon will come the day that more people have pictures of their genitals on the internet than not.
Right. So I just don't. This is what I've always said. Okay, look. Generally, here's the rule. If you don't want your junk to get, ladies and men, if you don't want it on the internet, don't take the picture in the first place. No matter how much you love that person. No matter how much you want to make them happy.
It's a bad idea.
Just don't take the picture in the first place if this is a problem. If, on the other hand, you do take the picture, and then the picture leaks out after the relationship goes south, which is not a nice thing to do. I would not recommend people do this to their exes, okay? Try to be kind to the people that, you might be going through a breakup through. I think it's immature to do that. But it's a reality. Many people have done this.
And
it's called revenge. It's got a name. It's called revenge porn.
And it's very difficult to even sort of punish for.
There's some states that actually have a criminal incarceration for it now.
They may very well, but finding who did it and how they did it and proving that they did it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's
it could be difficult. It could be difficult.
Right. It's one thing that
you'd have to get them to admit it. Basically.
So what if I show you and then you put it online?
Please don't.
No, I'm saying, okay, so I have the girlfriend with whom I've broken up with.
I saw you going to the bathroom the other night anyway, so it's not like it would be the first time.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But you left the door wide open.
I'm a family man. We sometimes leave the door open. What am I going to tell you?
It's fine. Like I said, it doesn't bother me. So, look, if it does get out there, it's not going to be the end of the world. Jeff Bezos isn't going to have his fortune ruined if the National Enquirer prints a full-page spread of all the photos of his junk that they have acquired.
Yep.
It's not going to matter. It's not going to make him less or more popular. It's not going to ruin his relationship with his girlfriend. It's not going to do any of those things. And if it does, well, whatever.
It looks like the relationship with the wife is already done.
Right. You take some risks if you're going to take a picture of your genitals and put them online. But I think overwhelmingly it's an overblown concern by so many people. The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I think we have a call on the line here from, yes, she's with us now, Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Yes.
Yes.
I just I wanted to talk about I wanted to ask you guys, how come you guys are so much into the sugar soda pop companies? I'm beginning to wonder, every single one of you guys love soda pop. You think people should just guzzle down gallons of it.
Are you, what?
Wait a second.
What show are you listening to? Mark, have you seen me with a soda in my hands?
I don't think I've ever seen you drink a soda.
No, you and I, every now and then, will share a ginger beer,
ginger,
like three times a year.
What are the high-end sugarcane-infused ginger beers?
Right, there's no actual, there's no
mass market
fructose corn syrup in there. Stand by, Sarah, because I think you've gotten the wrong idea, although I did have one of those Jack Daniel's whiskey drinks, which is kind of carbonated. It's kind of like a ginger ale. I had one of those last night.
I can forgive it if it has alcohol in it.
Okay, yeah, but even then, I don't buy the alcoholic sodas very, very often at all. There's more coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live. Hey, it's Free Talk Live. We're here in Acapulco, Mexico, with a full show tonight. Unlike last night, which was a half show. But you know what? We made it on the air, and we figured out what the problems were, and now they've been solved. So thank goodness. And everything sounds good. We've been able to take your phone calls and Discord calls. So that's a first. A bunch of firsts here on this particular broadcast, because it's actually been a long time since we've even done live broadcasts from remote, because normally if we're at a conference we can't do it. It's just live is just makes it so much harder. It makes it so much more difficult, and it doesn't work as well when we're at a conference, because we do a lot of interviews. Here we're just doing regular episodes of Free Talk Live. We just happen to be in a different location. And then next week, when Acapulco kicks off on Thursday, we'll go into our conference mode, and then we'll just do our recorded shows during the daytime and talk to a lot of interesting folks that are hanging out at Acapulco. So for now, our phones are open, and we're just doing regular old episodes of Free Talk Live here at 855-450-FREE.
Taking your calls. And, liberty-minded folks for years have been asking us to help them find other folks that are liberty-minded and find out what kind of businesses they've got. Well, we've done that. Liberty.menu. You can help us build it. It's a tool for your community. At its core, it's a directory for events, businesses, digital content, and more. Listings can be rated and reviewed. There's a bit of a social networking aspect, so you can connect and share with others. Use Liberty.menu. It's exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at Liberty.menu. Use code FTL. You get a special badge. It's Liberty.menu.
All right, we go back to Sarah in New Mexico. She's got sugar on the brain, accusing us of having soda pop sponsors here on Free Talk Live, or being somehow tied in with the soda business. Sarah, I don't know if you're mixing us up with some other radio show, but Mark, where was that? Who's manufacturing that aloe drink that you and I had one of these today?
I didn't pour over this, but it's called Vitalo, and I don't know.
It doesn't have like Coca-Cola or Pepsi logo.
Well, the lighting isn't that great here.
Here, hand that to me. Let me
sun
see
is
here. I got
set
better vision.
in Acapulco.
Let's see. Anybody I can see on here? No, nothing real obvious. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't say here. Anyway.
You
Sarah,
almost exclusively drink water.
Yeah, I do drink a lot of water. So, how can you come on the air and accuse us of this, Sarah? Because it's demonstrably false.
Oh, okay. I brought up that, they want to ban or cut down on soda pop advertisement. And all of you guys, every single one of you, every one of you guys attack me because you like all the soda pop advertisement that we got now.
No. It's not about money. It's about freedom, Sarah. It's about people should be free to buy the things they want to buy. without having some government goon come in there and threaten them. And you never want to acknowledge the threats that come behind these government programs, but they're there. If you don't add in the soda tax, if you're they're in New Mexico and they've added in this new extra soda tax, the sugary drinks tax, because it's not just sodas, it's also fruit juice, it's frappuccino, it's anything that's got soda added to it, basically. If you don't collect that tax. Sugar. If you don't collect that tax, there's going to be men with guns that show up, and they're going to demand you either pay the tax or they're going to do something probably not very nice to you, Sarah.
Well, I mean, but the soda pop companies have been pushing and bullying their junk products on TV, on the radio.
Bullying?
I mean, ever since I have been bombarded with the soda pop commercials on the freeway, the advertisement boards. Everywhere you turn around, it's on Circle K.
So you consider advertising to be bullying?
Well, it's pretty much, it is bullying because they're shoving it in your face. How about that?
Mark, you're an advertising professional. I mean, she's attacking your profession here.
No, she's not. She's advertising my profession. Advertising works, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the reason that liberals like Sarah don't like it. Because if you advertise your product or service here on Free Talk Live, just contact me, Mark at freetalklive.com. I don't care if it's a sugary beverage. Frankly, I don't care, what you particularly want to advertise.
Well, we do care, actually, because if you want to advertise a scam, it's not going to get on the air.
No scams. If you deliver a product or service to somebody and you accurately describe that product or service in your ad.
If you're selling soda and it's honestly soda, then that's fine.
Yep, that's fine by us.
Fine.
And
Yeah,
I would further recommend if they wanted an endorsement, I would taste their soda and I would tell you what I thought of the taste of it. So, like, for instance, Moxie. If you have not been to
This is a New England drink.
If you haven't been to New England, this is like licorice soda pop. Don't drink it. It's awful. But I would also say about soda, you probably should limit yourself to one every 3 days.
Okay.
Like, that's what I would say as far as a sugar.
Just from the guy who drinks, a pot of coffee every single day?
Yeah, but I have no sugar in it.
I don't know if that's necessarily that much better, but...
No. This product has no...
Do you drink coffee, Sarah? Hey, Sarah, do you drink coffee?
Yes, I do, once in a while.
You know what caffeine's known to do, right?
There's no caffeine in my coffee.
Why?
I'm talking to Sarah. Most people don't drink caffeine-free coffee. Sarah, you don't drink decaf, do you?
Well, sometimes I do. I limit myself.
Yeah, but what percentage of the time do you drink decaf versus the percentage of the time you drink caffeinated?
I mix half and half. I only drink a cup every 3 days.
Okay, that's a limited amount. But you're using an addictive drug, right? Caffeine.
Okay.
It can cause things like heart attacks or heart murmurs or palpitations or something. I've heard there's some really bad things that can happen to people because of drinking caffeine. Why doesn't that upset you? The caffeine advertisements, coffee advertisements.
Okay, you know what? The soda pop, they're advertising to children, and they don't have any sense.
So if you don't want to have a conversation, Sarah, we're just going to go on. Thank you for the call tonight. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. I'm not interested in talking to someone reading from a script. Sarah brings up some interesting topics, like this is an interesting topic, a sugar tax, which is something that a lot of municipalities are considering and or putting into place. So that's worth talking about.
The government's always out there trying to tell you how to live your life.
Right.
And, these things like sugar taxes are things that hit poor people the hardest.
That's true.
Now, Sarah's by no means a rich lady.
Nope, she's on welfare.
She's on welfare or something like that. And she makes what appear to be a lot of good decisions for her life. I think, from what she talks about on the air, she makes a lot of good decisions. However, a lot of poor people are saying to themselves, hey, life isn't that great. I need my pleasures where I can get them. I'll take cigarettes, sugar, and unprotected sex as often as I can get them. And, I get it. If you don't feel like you're getting your pleasures elsewhere, that's fine. So
So, you come on
you got to
here.
be able to make your own decisions in life. And look, everybody serves as something in life, and if you're just serving as a bad example, fine.
Well, somebody has to do that.
Somebody has to. You don't have good decisions without having bad decisions.
And Sarah may have made some good personal decisions. I'm not sure which ones you're referring to because she lives in a welfare house, and that's generally the indicator of a failure.
She doesn't have a job, but she doesn't do drugs. She doesn't,
except for caffeine.
She doesn't seem to make a lot of bad.
And we
decisions.
didn't ask her about alcohol. I don't remember what her relationship. Maybe we've asked her about it in the past.
She's not driving fast in a car that
she doesn't drive, so there is that. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, but then she gets on here and attacks Soda Pop while at the same time having her own vice, and then ignores the very valid question about it. So we just go on. We'll take your calls and thoughts. Our number here is 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. This is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
It is Free Talk Live. You dial toll free to join us here as we are in Acapulco, Mexico. Arrived early this year for the Anarchapulco event coming up in just under a week. It kicks off officially on Thursday. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, they are still available. Go to anarchapulco.com and you can get your tickets there with code FTL for 10% off. It's Ian and Mark here with you tonight. By the way, I want to let you all know about our new feature that we kind of brought back, but it was never really officially a feature of Free Talk Live. It was Liberty Clips, which our friend Eric Freerock, who's formerly one of the folks with Cop Block, he put that together, put a Liberty Clips video channel together several years ago. I think it was like circa 2014 maybe, so like half a decade. And just on his own volition, he would edit clips of Free Talk Live, which we do a long show. We're on the radio for 3 hours a night. When you cut out the radio breaks and the news breaks, you get a 2-hour-long podcast.
That's right. Yep.
It's a long show, and we do 7 of these every single week, every single day. We do this. So it's hard, to actually spend time going through a 2-hour-long show and finding, some of the best bits and clipping it out. That's a job. And he did it for a while, and of course, it's hard to make money doing libertarian talk radio.
No, sure.
And so he gave it up, and we actually talked him into coming back, coming out of retirement, and he's back and better than ever. And he's uploading at least 2 or 3, if not more, clips per day.
Share, subscribe.
Clips.freetalklive.com will take you right to his channel. Mind you, this is not Free Talk Live's channel.
Nope.
He's doing work for Free Talk Live, but we're helping him build his channel here. So subscribe to his channel. And just within the last couple of days, Mark, I put up one of these IFTTT automated things to where whenever it is he uploads... Yeah. Whenever it is that he uploads a new video to his YouTube channel, which you can go to clips.freetalklive.com and subscribe to it. But whenever one of those clips gets uploaded, it automatically sends a notice out to our Twitter and our Mastodon and our Telegram channel. So if you want to follow any of those, follow Free Talk Live on those social media platforms, you will see whenever a new clip is uploaded to YouTube. Now, I think you've got them set up on Facebook, so he might be posting some of them over there. I'm not sure what goes on Facebook. But if you want to follow us on the Clips channel, go to clips.freetalklive.com. We're basically, not quite starting from scratch on this, but it's a channel that hadn't been utilized in a number of years, so we got to build up some interest. And these are great for sharing because it's hard to share a 2-hour-long show with somebody. Very few people have that kind of attention span, even if you only want to share a little bit of it. And it's just not as easy than just, here's a video. Here you go. Super easy. Clips.freetalklive.com. So we can talk to you about whatever's on your mind. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We started out earlier in the show talking about this news that is really upsetting some of the Trump base. He has one of the things I really like about Trump is he just doesn't care whose toes that he steps on, whether it be the obvious target of the leftists and the liberals or his very own people that voted for him. He's just kind of does whatever he wants to do and lets the chips fall where they may.
Well, I mean, in this case, he's saying that he's going to, loosen the criteria for people coming to the U.S. or make it so
I don't know. Is that what he said? I didn't watch the speech. So
I didn't watch the State of the Union's address speech. I don't care anything about what these people say.
Generally, I don't either, but I've heard a lot about this one after the fact.
He's indicating that there will be more immigration into this country.
That's what he wants.
That we need people. So, and that obviously it'll be all legal immigration. That's his sticking point here.
Yeah.
He's still pushing
wants
for
a wall, which is bad.
Which is, well, I don't know if it's bad. It's dumb.
It's bad.
That's dumb. Okay, here's my point on the wall. I know you might like a wall. You might think it's a great idea. It's dumb. Look, there are walls that we use to keep people from going places currently. We call them prisons. Talk to a prison guard. Just talk to one of them and ask them if the wall prevents the inmates from leaving, or if it's the guy with the gun and standing on the side of the wall. Or now, none of these wall people say, oh, yes, we need armed guards on the wall, because they know that would be a giant costly government program. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have people...
Well, it's going to be a giant, costly government program to build the wall, but yeah, it would be even more if you have guards.
It pales in comparison to staffing that wall.
Sure.
So if you don't have people who are watching that wall, then that wall is going to be torn down. I mean, if it's just a hurricane fence, then, some clippers you're going to be through in a few minutes. An angle grinder is going to go through, these big metal things. It doesn't even slow people down. An inmate could get through a prison fence without, just go, fella. It's going to take him, 10 minutes tops to get through? The wall's just it just slows people down a little bit. It's not going to get you. It's just going to be destroyed.
It's symbolic.
It's
more
symbolic
than anything else.
I mean, if it's symbolic, put it on a greeting card.
Trump said apparently during the State of the Union address, this according to InfoWars, quote, "Legal immigrants enrich our nation and strengthen our society in countless ways.
Yep.
I want people to come into our country in the largest numbers ever, but they have to come in legally."
I would go even further to say, hey, let's go ahead and make it so that none of them can benefit from any kind of government programs. I'm sure lots of people who wanted to work hard would come to this country if they could not in any way, shape, or form avail themselves of any government program.
Well, I liked your point earlier that you touched on, was that this is the reactions to this. Yep. From the conservatives that supported Trump.
Breathless, worrying about what's going to happen to our white nation or something.
Well, it reveals the reality, right? Because we've said this for years on the air about a lot of these anti-immigrant people who all of them love to preface their statements about, well, as long as it's legal, I'm all right with it. Well, now here you got Trump saying, we want legal immigrants in the largest numbers ever, and these conservatives are S-ing themselves over it.
Because they were just lying when they said they wanted legal immigration.
Yeah.
That was just a lie. They knew that the government wasn't going to bend their way, so they were all for it. This is the difference. Democrats and Republicans are the same. They just want the government to do their dirty work. And
that's true.
All I want is for the government to leave free, hardworking people alone. That's the difference. Yes, don't give them a bunch of free stuff. I understand your complaints.
I don't want
welfare.
anybody to get a bunch of free stuff from the government. I'm fine with helping poor people who are in genuine need, but people like Sarah,
you'll never know what genuine need is as long as the government is giving out free stuff.
That's
you
what
don't
I'm
have
saying.
any idea.
Right. I don't want the government to do any of that stuff, because the people who are going to be better at helping those who are actually needy are those who would be doing it voluntarily. To come back to another topic we had earlier, this idea of voluntarism, people interacting with each other on a consensual basis. If that's what's happening, then the people who are receiving whatever the benefit is, whether it be from the Salvation Army or whether it be from some local church or whoever it is, then they've got an incentive to make sure to check with these people, to follow up, to make sure that they're spending the money wisely, that they're not just blowing it on crack cocaine or alcohol or whatever it is that they're into, and making sure they're actually moving up in their life rather than just, staying still and just collecting a check every single month. That would be much more likely in a privately funded system voluntarily funded system where you would be free to support the charities you value, rather than having to rely on some government bureaucrats who can completely change the program at any time. That's one of the reasons why it's better, because even if you have a government program that you think you like, let's say for a moment it looks like there's a government program that's helping people for once. Well, the next administration can come in and completely gut that program. So all of a sudden, the people that you thought were getting help, now they're out in the streets.
Right. And now you're upset at, the government. Well, you empowered them.
That's right.
You empowered them by putting them in this place. Look, I understand there are, not-for-profits out there that are wasteful and a big mess. I hear the Red Cross is. I don't know anything about the Red Cross. They gave me great certifications for Life-Saving and Heart-Saver and all that other good stuff.
Sure.
I don't have any complaints about them, but I haven't looked into it thoroughly one way or the other. However, you should be able to make up your mind as to which charities you want to give to.
You don't have to give to the Red Cross.
You can't make up your mind when it comes to the government. They just say, we're going to take it. And that's a bad way of doing things.
So people are livid. If you want to jump in here and comment on the Trump discussions, because I am interested in knowing exactly what he wants to do. Because if he wants to make immigration legally easier, I support that. I think that would be great, because it is a arbitrary mess of bureaucracy right now. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live. Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial in here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. As we are into nighttime here in Acapulco, Mexico. My third year. It's going to be Anarchapulco coming up next week, kicking off on Thursday. Looking forward to that event. Ian and Mark here in our remote studio. And taking your calls throughout the evening. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We also have the Discord on-air call-in lines, and tonight we've had a lot of participation on those lines. It's been sounding great, so thank you for that. I mean, the only thing I think that probably will sound different to listeners tonight is you might be able to hear like some kids yelling in the background, some cars going by, because we're out. We're not actually in a studio. We're sitting out on the patio, basically.
Right. We got a little roof over our heads.
If it rains, we should be all right, although, yeah, I think we'll be all right.
53 inches per year, I looked it up.
Is that not a lot?
Not a lot.
Okay. Was it 10 that's desert?
10 is desert, and I can't get the definition of, maybe it's semi-arid.
Interesting.
I looked it up. I couldn't find sort of what are the different climates by definition of precipitation.
The weather is nice if you like it hot. If you don't like it hot, you probably would hate it in Acapulco, because it's wintertime, but you can't.
If you don't like it hot, enjoy shoveling snow.
I do actually enjoy shoveling snow.
Abominable snowman.
It's just frozen water.
Bubbles.
No big deal. So you can bring up whatever you want here. We're continuing on the shock.
And how many backs have been thrown out by shoveling snow?
The shock and lift with your legs, not with your back. I mean, this is basic stuff here.
You're 30. Shut up.
Well, fair enough, but still, a lot of people don't know how to lift things. That's why they have training videos for people that go and work in places where you have to lift things, because you have to explain it to people.
That's why they have Florida, so that old people can move to some place and don't have to shovel snow.
Well, they also have men that you can hire in New Hampshire. There's a shocking number of old people in Keene, New Hampshire.
It's just it's shocking.
So anyway, we're here in Acapulco. If you want to join us, you can. A lot of people are upset, including the folks over at InfoWars, about Donald Trump getting on television this last week and saying he wants to see the largest numbers ever of legal immigrants coming into the country, which I think is great. I don't really care whether they're legal or illegal, as long as they're good folks coming here looking for a better life for themselves. But according to the story here, this breathless, angry story at InfoWars, they say currently the U.S. imports more than 1 million legal immigrants annually, with a vast majority deriving from chain migration, whereby newly naturalized citizens can bring an unlimited number of foreign relatives into the country. In 2017, the foreign-born population reached a record high of 44.5 million people. It says here the U.S. is on track to import about 15 million new foreign-born voters in the next 2 decades, should current legal immigration levels continue. Those 15 million new foreign-born voters include about 8 million who will arrive in the country through chain migration. This booming legal immigrant population has not only rapidly shifted the demographics of the nation, but research indicates it will hand over all electoral dominance to Democrats in a matter of decades. See, this is Trump, he's a secret Democrat, Mark. This is all part of the Democrats' plan to bolster their voting numbers.
If this is true, then first off, hey, it's a Republican doing this. Wouldn't these voters have the understanding that it was a Republican that allowed them to come in? So, secondly, if this is true, then isn't this an indictment against the concept of voting generally? I mean, really, if you've got to stay cloistered to keep your little ideas going, then well, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not for this at all. This idea of voting. What I frankly, my recommendation includes people from other countries coming here would not be able to have the right to vote either, and that's I'm sure they'd still come do it. You look, your vote is statistically insignificant. So
most people don't care about it. Look at the national elections; they're largely unparticipated.
Yep. And they should, honestly, because, the national election, their vote is meaningless.
Well, and it wouldn't make a difference anyway. It wouldn't make a difference if 100% participated or 50% participated, because the results will still be the same. Crap. The results are still going to be Hillary or Trump. And it turned out it was Trump, and honestly, it's for the better, I think. It's pretty clear. Like, at first, I wasn't so sure. And now you made the comment earlier, you called Trump the most libertarian president in your lifetime. And I think it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, even though he's not a libertarian, he's certainly not somebody who is, for voluntarism or liberty or anything like that. But some of the things he's done have shaken things up in D.C. The shutdown recently was incredibly entertaining. There's a whole story I've got about that, and maybe we can get into it over the next week at some point. I don't know if we're going to do it tonight, but about the bureaucrats. During the shutdown, the record-length shutdown that we got out of, 3 weeks ago, something like that? This record-length shutdown has, according to a couple of different sources, damaged employee morale. They used the term, I believe, irreparably.
Yay!
I know! This is exactly what I was hoping for. This is one of the things that I said. I said, if this goes on, the longer it goes on, the more of them are going to quit.
Yes.
And further, the more, even the ones that stay, they're going to be always wondering. They're always going to be looking over their shoulder like, when's the next shutdown coming? This is not good for their morale.
I mean, do we really want good morale from government workers?
No, we want those people to hate coming to work so they quit their jobs. And then, if Trump is actually, interested in keeping the government smaller, he could put a hiring freeze on and say, look, if you quit, you're just not going to be replaced. I'm not saying he is going to do that. But that's something that he could do. And there's another
government shutdown coming, folks.
That's the other story I had for tonight, is that they're already talking about starting another one on February 15th. So day number 2 of Acapulco might be another government shutdown.
Maybe we can get Ocasio-Cortez to go out and do all the things that the government workers aren't getting paid for. So she seems to think she believes in magic.
Let me continue with the exasperation here from InfoWars for you, Mark. Just so we're clear here. We've got no wall, no fence, record legal and illegal immigration. And they say 1.75 million arrivals in 2016. And Trump's now saying he wants even more as Jared Kushner is meeting with the Koch brothers. Isn't one of the Koch brothers dead?
I thought
I heard that. I thought I heard that. Maybe that's not the case, but either way. Now, Kushner, that's the husband of Trump's daughter, right?
Yes.
Kushner? Okay, so he's meeting with the Koch brothers. That, to me, sounds like a positive development. The Koch brothers are known generally as liberty-minded-ish. They fund things like the Cato Institute, which does a lot of think tankery when it comes to libertarian issues. Do a lot of studies. I believe Cato is behind one of those Free the World studies where they rank the different countries in the world based on their economic freedom and such. So then they put in a U.S. Census Bureau chart showing the number of immigrants in the United States over the decades being on an uptick basically since the 1970s.
Yeah, it doesn't look like either of them are dead.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the correction there. U.S. population growth. They show, this very scary graph here. Look at the red indicates growth caused by new immigrants and their descendants, and there's this humongous, red chunk to the population growth. So it's just fear the immigrant, whether they be legal or illegal now. So the narrative has changed.
Well, this is the opportunity, right? This is the opportunity for Republicans out there is to educate these people who are coming in. Look, I understand. I am a Republican.
You mean embrace them and welcome them?
Right. Well, I mean, look, you've got to... That's what you've got to do here. This is a reality. The reality is that Americans, whether you're the black, white, or whomever, American citizens are not having children. And if you want the economy to grow, you got to continue to bring more people in. And this is going to be good for us. Trump got the lowest.
He gets that.
Yeah, this got the lowest.
Here's his quote. Quote, when asked about whether this is, let's see, what did Trump mean what he said? Quote, yes, because we need people in our country because our unemployment numbers are so low. Meaning that when unemployment's low, you need people to come in and create new jobs, new opportunities. As I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That puts upward pressure on the economy, and unemployment is at a record low again because Trump, is at the very least reaping the benefits of an economy that has great employment. So, yeah, a lot of people who want to come in and do work for us and, make things better, yeah, we absolutely should go for that. And Republicans need to just remember what it was like before 9/11. Before 9/11, Muslims voted Republican. Before 9/11, Mexicans in Texas voted for George Bush. And now I can't – Mexicans in Texas and Mexicans in California, they're a different breed entirely. But, this is the sort of thing that can be recaptured, Republicans, if you stop being scared of everybody who's not white.
Well, I can tell you right now.
And I'm not saying it's about race for you. I understand that. That's just what it looks like from the outside.
The toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. Got a whole hour to go. Your calls and thoughts welcome. You can take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live. We're live from Acapulco. 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're here in Acapulco, Mexico, and the phones are open as they always are. Our number here, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Also, we've got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. They're open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
So we're going to continue. We're going to take more of your calls and thoughts here. We'll go to the phones, but then also coming up, more about what's going on. The government shutdown is looming again, and just few things make me happier. I just love hearing about these. I know they're just partial shutdowns, but still, it has really thrown these government bureaucrats for a tizzy, and they are not happy about it. Supposedly irreparable damage has been done to government morale of the workers, which I say is good news. And, honestly, we got Trump to thank for it. Let's go to Luke in New Jersey. Luke, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Hey, Ian and Mark, can you hear me?
New Jersey. Yeah, we got you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Oh, guys, how you doing? I've been listening for a long time. It's my first time calling in, and I'm going to be coming to Acapulco Tuesday.
Oh, cool.
Looking forward to.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And looking forward to meeting you guys and Ron Paul and G. Edward Griffith and among other people. Anyway, question
It'll
for you
probably
guys.
be a lot harder to meet Ron Paul. I just want to temper your expectations. I know they did have a fancy dinner where people who paid for some extra thing were able to eat with Ron Paul. I don't know what that costs, Mark. You and I don't think we attended that.
Yeah, we're the riffraff. They don't give the help, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we're easy to meet. You'll have no problem doing that. You can probably pretty easily meet G. Edward Griffin. I think you see him kind of milling around.
Yeah, he's a real, he'll get out there and shake hands.
Ron Paul's not a milling around kind of guy. He's there. He shows up. He gives his speech. He does the things he's obligated to do. And then he's one of those kind of folks that goes home. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. He's earned it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And but that's not to say he's rude or anything like that. Certainly, if he's walking from whatever car it is that drops him off to the stage, and you manage to catch his attention, I would guess he would acknowledge that you're there.
Well.
I think he's a nice, kind man. It's just, can you just imagine being Ron Paul and how difficult that must be? Where last year at Acapulco, it was 1,700 people. That room that we were in was standing room only. It was full to the brim with people.
Yep.
He can't meet them all.
He's the Libertarians' Beatles.
Yeah. I remember seeing him in Philadelphia during the Philadelphia Freedom before the 2012 election. It was freezing rain, horrible conditions, and the place was packed as far as the eye you can see. You had people supporting him. It was amazing, and that was the only time I ever saw him, and it was very far away, and it was raining out and cold. But speaking of that, you guys are in Acapulco. It's right on the beach. Is there water sports right on the beach there?
I haven't seen any water skiing or anything
They've
like
got
that.
that stuff, though. It's probably not in this area.
They've got
it's probably more in the tourist zone.
I've seen obviously there's a lot of tourists on beaches. You can, rent a boat and go
This
out
isn't
fishing.
where we're at right now, though, isn't really like the touristy zone as much
But
as...
you can walk to that.
Is it that close?
Okay.
Okay.
It's that close.
Yeah, because there's a lot of tourist zone in Acapulco. There's all kinds of stuff like that here. But yeah, like Ron Paul, you mentioned you remember the first time you saw him. I think that's probably true of everybody, right? Like, you remember the first time you saw Ron Paul, right?
Tears were coming out of my eyes as I listened to him at the Liberty Forum in 2008.
Really?
I'm not kidding you. I mean, I just couldn't. I'd never heard anybody, a politician at the very least, stand up in front of a crowd, articulate in such short little bursts the ideas of liberty in front of an audience that was so receptive. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was great. And speaking of Donald Trump, you guys, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I'm a voluntarist. I'll vote in self-defense if there's a really good reason to. But I am really happy about what he's been doing, ending these wars.
Yeah.
I think the first thing he did is made a law that for every regulation the government adds, they need to get rid of 2 of them. So,
no, that wasn't exactly what that law did, at least as I understand it. It was they had to identify 2 to repeal, but I don't know if that means they were obligated to actually repeal them. So that there was some questions around that, and I think it was more PR than anything else. I don't know if it actually ended up being anything beyond just sort of a position statement from Trump on that. Because the way it was written, we analyzed it at the time on Free Talk Live. It was like,
seems shifty.
Yeah, you could push a Mack truck through that loophole, basically, the way they wrote that one. But we'll look forward to seeing you up here, Luke. Thank you for the call tonight. Definitely appreciate it, and have a safe travel here to Acapulco next week. In fact, I heard that
maybe if we were less accessible, we'd be bigger stars. What do you think?
I'm not interested in being a star. That's why I'm in radio.
I'm going to be going around this crowd wearing a king outfit with green hair.
Oh my God! Are you really going to bring the king outfit out
I've got
again?
the green king outfit. I've also got a tuxedo with tails. I've got some ridiculous stuff that at this point I have realized that
it's Acapulco. It's going to be blazing hot, right?
I know. I'll have shorts up underneath it if I feel like taking it off.
King Jackball. King Fool.
Right, whatever. What I've found is that I'm much more approachable if I just look like an idiot, like silly.
So you're saying people are more likely to approach you with a king outfit on?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they want to know what's going on.
I see.
There's some action going on here. I walk around.
There's a lunatic.
I walk around.
The crazy people are fun to talk to. I'll give you that.
I walk around conventions wearing a suit, and I mean, I can't get anybody to talk to me to save my life. I walk around wearing a king outfit with green hair.
Well, now hold on.
And I'm the star of the party.
Because when you got the green hair, which was for we did a charity fundraiser for a Ugandan orphanage down in Africa, and that's a whole other story. But that's the reason why you got the hair dyed. And you were going to a conference shortly after that. I think it was the Miami Bitcoin conference, and you'd said you were going to be wearing a suit, or maybe it was to the next thing that you went to, which was sort of a conference thing as well after that.
Yep, I didn't wear a suit at all, but yes.
You didn't. Did you find that when you weren't wearing the king outfit, would people ask you about the hair? Was it a conversation starter?
What I found was some people are very excited. Nobody says anything bad about the hair.
It looks good.
Some people are very excited about it.
Yeah.
And want to talk. Other people are kind of standoffish, like, I don't know what this person's about. Like, why does this old guy, I'm 47, have green hair, or it's kind of a teal, was the color at one point. Now it's kind of fading out. I don't mind. But
you did admit the other day you actually kind of like it.
There's some things I like about it. I've got it. I mean, like, I've thought about it. Mm-hmm. My wife doesn't seem to be embarrassed
makes you more
at all about it. Well, it certainly makes me look younger.
Yeah.
Because there's no gray in my head. That's one of the reasons. But
well, there is now on the sides, because you'd kind of cut that down.
Yeah, cut it down to where there's just sort of
so you're kind of gray on the sides and green on the top now.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I think that you have to really understand what it's like to have a ridiculous colored head. You must do it yourself.
You got to do it. Yeah.
You just got to know what it's like. Come up with a really great reason, like I did, which is having you're responsible for $35,000 being donated to an orphanage.
And have they gotten that money? What's the status on that situation?
Worked on that today. I actually sent, because we're in Acapulco, I can't wire the money. We now have the two pieces of property.
Well, no, the Shire Free Church is buying the property.
Correct.
Right? And there's somebody over there that you trust that's helping facilitate that?
Yep. Mm-hmm. The preacher man that I originally sent to sort of check on the situation.
An independent who lived outside of the area. Because this is our second fundraiser for the Ugandan orphanage. The first one was to build the orphanage. The second one here is to purchase some land on which the kids at the orphanage can, farm.
Grow food,
and, feed themselves, and also maybe make some money by selling their wares at the markets, was the idea.
Right.
To make them productive rather than having to beg, essentially.
So I can't wire money from Mexico because we're down here.
Mm-hmm.
However, I sent some earnest money to hold the two pieces of property that we want.
I see.
And so one piece of property is actually in town. It's about an acre. And one of the problems is with the land there is that people use the clay for bricks. So you've got to make sure the land hasn't been stripped of its topsoil. So we have to check it all out and that sort of thing to make sure.
So due diligence is being done here, is what you're saying. All right, so more on the way here. You can learn more about that over at, what is it?
Hope.freetalklive.com.
Hope.freetalklive.com. More coming up. Free Talk Live. We're here in Acapulco for day number 2 of what is not quite going to be 2 weeks, but close to it. Broadcasting both live and recorded. We're going to do live shows all the way up through Anarchipulco, which kicks off on Thursday. And then we will be recording the shows during the day and playing them back for you at night when we are normally live, because it's impossible to do a show from an event live because we're a nighttime show. And by that time, everybody's out partying at these events, so it's impossible.
Yep.
It's very, very, Our shows sucked when we did them live from these events by comparison to how they are now, where we get to bring over the guests whenever it is the guest wants to come over, talk to them for as long as we, feel like we need to talk to them, not being pressured by, breaks or timing or anything like that. I mean, there's still timing involved because we got to record show segments to a very specific length. But beyond that, if they say the F word, we can just stop and then delete that and then keep going. But that's the only editing we do. We're not editing these whenever we do interviews at like Anarchipulco or whatever. There's only editing for curse words. And the occasional, if I screw up and let the segment go too long, then I usually have to truncate something out of it. But those are the only times. We don't edit for content or anything like that. So stick with us for that. That's going to continue. You can, of course, subscribe to our podcast over at feeds.freetalklive.com. That is where you can sign up to follow not only the full show archives, but we've also got the Free Talk Live daily digests as well. So that's a nice 20, 30-minute breakdown of some of the stuff that we talked about on the previous night's show. And it's thanks to Riley Blake for putting those together for us. You can subscribe to our main feed, which has both of those things in it, or you can subscribe to one feed or the others. You can just get the digests.
Right. Maybe you just don't have the time to listen to the whole show.
A lot of people are time challenged. I mean, if if you're one of the lucky folks with a short commute, then you might not have time to listen to a 2-hour-long show every single day. So we got options for you. Go to feeds.freetalklive.com. Once again, that's feeds.freetalklive.com. So I mentioned this earlier, Mark. It's good news. The Daily Caller reporting the White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. They must have fired the other one. That's a name I didn't recognize.
No.
Didn't they have like that? Wasn't it like the daughter of that old Alabama guy? What was his name? I forget. The guy that ran for president at that one time. Anyways, I think the press secretary's changed out again. Warned of a possible government shutdown if Congress doesn't deliver funding for a border wall in a Friday morning gaggle with reporters at the White House. Quote, "We're on the verge of a government shutdown again because Democrats won't come to the table to have a conversation about securing the country."
We're going to have a shutdown, and this time it's going to be the Democrats' fault.
So what you're referring to is the last shutdown started when the Republicans were still in charge.
Right.
Gidley warned as a February 15th deadline for congressional negotiations comes to a close. According to the Daily Caller story here, Trump told reporters Thursday at the White House after being briefed on the progress of the talks by Republican Alabama Senator Richard Shelby, saying, quote, "We'll see what happens, but I certainly hear they're working on something, and both sides are moving along. We'll see what happens. We need border security. We have to have it. It's not an option. Let's see what happens."
You won't need border security if you let more people in. If he's increasing immigration, you won't need border security, because what we found with immigrants during the economic downturn is when there weren't enough jobs to go around, they left. People were sneaking across the border the other direction. And I mean, that makes perfectly good sense. So if immigrants come to this country and you fill up the low-paying jobs that Americans won't take or whatever with people that, are now here. And by the way, it used to be just sort of a migrant economy. People could move back and forth across the border, but, that's been stopped by this whole border conversation. So I guess we're not going to be able to have that conversation. And but you let people come in and do these jobs, then by God, they'll do the jobs and the immigrants won't come illegally. Not nearly as many.
Yeah, the proposal we don't know. I haven't heard anything. If you have, let us know. What is the proposal Trump is, or has he made one yet, for how he intends to get the largest number of legal immigrants into the United States? Because if it doesn't involve rolling back the regulations on immigration, then that's not good. I mean, then it's just talk. It has to involve some sort of action. It has to involve making the bureaucracy more negotiable, making it easier to get through for these folks that want to come here. If you want to increase immigration, that's how you have to do it. If you want to increase legal immigration, that's how you have to do it. You've got to make the legal channels understandable, easy, and not this complex maze of nonsense with ridiculous application fees, the mandating of hiring a lawyer, otherwise you're basically dead in the water because you don't know how to navigate the bureaucratic morass. I mean, it's just impossible. It's so difficult to immigrate here, despite the claims, there's all these people illegally immigrating. Yeah, there are, but a lot of them have legal assistance. They've had the ability to hire a lawyer. Maybe their family worked their butts off for a decade saving money to hire an attorney so they could finally get through the ridiculous process, which sometimes takes another decade or two.
As I understand it, just to get a coyote to take you across the border is $10,000. One might ask, if this $10,000 is on the table, why is the American government leaving it there to the hands of organized crime?
Yeah, that is a good question.
I mean, if it just cost $10,000 to send your third son to America to work to send some money back home to the the hacienda or whatever, then maybe they'll come up with $10,000 to do that.
Trump, according to the story here, the negotiations are the result of a 35-day government shutdown lasting from late December through January, when Trump demanded $5.7 billion in funding for his proposed wall. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer refused to give in to his demand and offered only $1.6 billion in border security funding, with the stipulation that no funding could be used for new construction on a wall. Now, One of the things Trump did recently to upset the conservatives before he made this recent speech that upset them was he came to the table and offered some immigration eases. He wanted to make it easier for the DACA people or whatever to get citizenship, and said, "Hey, look, I'm willing to do this if you'll give me the wall." And they still weren't willing to give him the wall funding in that case. And so it's a very interesting negotiation that's going on. Normally, I find politics to be boring as hell, but Trump, he makes it interesting.
Yeah, I think that what a generation of Rush Limbaugh has gotten us is that there's really going to be no negotiation on this. The people who want what they want what they want, and they're not going to change what they want. There's no negotiation on this issue.
And Trump's willing to upset all these government workers in order to keep his position strong, which I just love.
He's willing to upset both sides of the political, the both sides of the swamp on this.
That's right.
Too.
I love that.
Right. And, you don't make a deal without negotiating. And I'm sorry that Americans didn't think that was going to be the case, but that's how a deal maker works. And look, you can want what you want on immigration. Whatever you think is perfect. I know you're a super genius. You've got it right. However, there are 300 million Americans that are also super geniuses, and they also think they have it right. So you're going to have to, in order to get whatever you think the important part of your plan is, you're going to have to compromise. Or you can just bang your fists on the table and stomp your feet on the ground and talk about how everybody else is an idiot.
Trump agreed in late January to temporarily reopen the government for 3 weeks until February 15th. And allow for a period of negotiation, stipulating that a national emergency declaration is all but certain if his terms are not met. But the negotiations have been fraught from the beginning, with many of the Democrats on the conference committee saying unequivocally they will not support wall funding. So get ready. The 15th is just around the corner. That's 1 week from today? Yep, 1 week from today. So next Friday.
Yep.
It could be happening again.
The wall is a political football.
All right, we come back with more. Your thoughts welcome. This is Free Talk Live. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. This is Free Talk Live. Welcome to the program. We're here in beautiful Acapulco. It is nighttime. It's cooled down a little bit here. It's probably, around 80 degrees right now, I would say.
It's
maybe
be lower than that.
82.
Yeah, really?
82, according to the internet.
It's sweltering. I mean, I'm out here in shorts.
Are you serious? Are you really saying it's sweltering out here? No, it's not. It's actually pretty nice.
Well, look, these Yankees complain about anything above 80, like they're going to die.
Well, they are Yankees. Anyway, we're here. It's Ian and Mark. The toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE like freedom. We've also got the Discord on air call-in line rooms. And Mark, I think you wanted to tell us about AnyPay.global.
Yeah, well, AnyPay.global is if you what is it? What do you call it? Point of sale?
That's
POS,
what you call it.
Simple system. Excuse me.
Yeah.
If you've got a retail business and you're looking for a solution for cryptocurrency acceptance when it comes to point of sale, it's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet address in their setup page, and then load their app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. It's AnyPay.global. Ian, what are the crypto that they accept?
Dude, there's a bunch of them now. I've got on my AnyPay right now Dash, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, Horizon, Litecoin, and XRP, a.k.a. Ripple, which is one of their newest ones. And they've just re-enabled Bitcoin Cash within the last week or two. They had to kind of rebuild that from the ground up, and so it's good to have that back on board now.
Anypay.global is the website.
It is awesome. I had the opportunity this week to be interviewed. I won't say which major financial media. Yes, we are live. I don't know if you could hear the car alarm in the background there. But I won't say which major financial media publication interviewed me, and it was like one of those, it's going to be one of those articles about using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in real life. And so the person who wrote the article was informed, of course, about what's been going on in New Hampshire, like in Keene and Portsmouth. And one of the questions was about, what do you pay with? What's the system? What's it like paying with in real life with cryptocurrency? And of course, in real life in Keene and Portsmouth, New Hampshire, almost every business that takes crypto is using the AnyPay system.
Yep. They make it easy.
It is super easy to use. So AnyPay hopefully will get some good coverage out of that particular story. I'll share it with you guys once we actually, once it's published. Again, I don't know when it's going to be put out there, but the author will let me know once that happens. So. Yeah.
It's not a software without its problems, but the crew over there is extraordinarily responsive.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and actually, it's, I would say, pretty bug free these days. There was some bumpy roads in the early days where there was some downage, some downtime, but I would say these days it's up 99.9% of the time. The issue I had recently was my phone's fault, where even though it looked like I had internet, I didn't. I couldn't pay with both Edge Wallet and Coinomi. When I did I thought maybe it was Edge that was having trouble, so I loaded up Coinomi, and I'm like, oh, it's got to be the internet. So I restarted kind of my internet connection, and then it worked fine. So it wasn't even AnyPay's fault. A lot of the times it's user error rather than AnyPay.
But they're still responsive.
Or a technology error, So, you can join us here. Let's change gears, Mark. We've been talking a lot about D.C. here tonight and Trump upsetting the conservatives, upsetting the liberals. I got to say,
his drawing breath upsets the liberals.
Yeah, I love it. I love that about him. But we haven't talked about Venezuela in a little while, and here is some of the latest news out of Venezuela. This story I pulled into my show prep a few days ago. The Associated Press reporting out of Caracas that opposition leader Juan Guaido's calls for Venezuelans to abandon Nicolas Maduro's government are booming across the world outside. But the self-declared interim president is having a harder time delivering his message at home.
Yeah, I imagine it's very difficult for him.
Watchdog groups in Venezuela and abroad say Guaido's efforts to reach citizens via the internet have been hindered by the dominant provider. Guess who?
The government.
That's right. CAN TV is what it's called. And I don't know what that stands for, but that's the government's internet provider. It's a country where critical newspapers and broadcast media have already been muzzled since January 23rd, when Guaido proclaimed himself interim president and when protests against Maduro's rule broke out again, mind you, because that's been happening. CAN TV blocked access to social media sites at least 4 times, according to monitoring groups. Those disruptions have coincided with politically significant events, including a rally attended by thousands of people recently and a January 27th nighttime speech that Guaido live-streamed on Periscope to call for a new round of protests and urge members of the military
They're pulling down the internet so that when this guy does a live stream, it's interrupted? Man, that's petty.
At the very least, they're blocking the stream. Okay, they're probably not blocking the entire internet from people.
Okay.
But they're saying, oh, Guaido's on Periscope, block.
I see.
We'll just block all of Periscope, right, at that time. You can still get to the government's websites during that time, for sure. CAN TV, get this, they account for about 70% of Venezuela's fixed internet connections and 50% of mobile. Hey, Americans, those of you out there who have been saying, we need government to run the internet connections here because then it'll be fair. Because they'll do it right in New York, right, when the government runs the internet connections.
Right, New York's not known for political corruption or anything.
No, it'll be democratic internet.
Well, it'll be that.
And that's part of the problem is whoever's in charge of the government at that time will be in charge of the internet.
Yeah, this is the problem with making decisions based on using the government to make any kind of decision. It's just a bad idea because the people in power are going to go after the people who are not in power.
Right. Your internet connection has become a political football.
If you aren't looking at Facebook these days and don't see your friends complaining about Trump or extolling Trump, you're looking at a different Facebook that I'm looking at. And these people, they just fit the NPC meme so thoroughly.
NPC means non-player character.
Yeah, this non-player character because they're just like, oh yeah, well I just hate this guy for whatever he does, or I love this guy for whatever he does. You're not even thinking about it, people.
Oh, by the way, speaking of the NPC meme, this isn't related to Venezuela. We can get back into that. But since you brought it up, we now have custom sticker thingies, custom emojis, I guess is the right word, on our Discord server.
Okay.
So people have been asking for this, like, hey, can you give us these custom? I'm like, sure, yeah, just send me what you want. And I picked the ones that I liked. So there's some NPC memes now that you can use. I picked one of you, Mark. There's a picture of you when in that moment you were so angry in the studio that you swung the microphone and you said a bunch of words you're not supposed to say on the radio. I picked a screen grab out from that. They're really, really small, so it's hard to really make out any details in them.
Yeah.
But if you click the little GIF, not the GIF button, it's like maybe it's the smiley face button on the Discord server. You can see our custom stuff there. So check out the Discord server over at discord.lrn.fm. You can get interactive with other Free Talk Live listeners there.
They're tiny little things.
Yeah, they are. But anyway, we can continue here. And so CAN TV, 70% of their fixed internet connections and 50% of mobile, as well as NetBlocks, a non-government group based in Europe that monitors internet censorship. NetBlocks said that. They found that the government provider blocked Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube during 12 of the 13 minutes that Guaido's speech lasted. So the stream could only be seen without interruptions by people using privately run internet providers. Now, that's just the live speech. People don't care that much about live anymore, Mark. I mean, it's hard to say that in the business, the radio business where
on Free Talk Live,
where we're live 7 nights a week. But we're in the playback generation here, record and playback generation, where everything's on demand. I mean, the idea that you missed Guaido's speech. Can they block every copy of his speech that ends up getting made and put on dozens of different YouTube channels
Probably
after
not.
this? No way. I mean, that cat's going to get out of the bag. This is a desperate move.
Have you ever tried to keep a cat in a bag?
No. More coming up here in moments. We got time for you if you want to jump on the lines here. But this is what happens. You put the government in charge of the internet, and you're going to get censorship, period. Remember, they tried doing this during the Arab Spring. They shut down Twitter. And so people had to connect.
Probably more effectively.
To alternative DNS providers in order to get around the blocks. There are always ways around it. Hey, it is Free Talk Live. Moments remain here in this episode of the show, day number 2 from Acapulco. With you in the studio tonight here, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And coming up next week, we'll be at Acapulco starting on Thursday. But we're doing live shows basically now through Tuesday. So we'll be here on the weekend. You and me, Mark, we're doing our shows.
You say the studio, but our studio doesn't even have walls.
No, it's true. There's a wall behind us. Well, it's not really even a wall. It's a screen door. And then we've got a beautiful view of what is now a dark sky, and there's not really that. There's hotels around here, but it's not the touristy version of Acapulco where we're at. I mean, there's a bunch. I was just walking down, walking around, just kind of looking around, seeing what's in this area today, and there's a bunch of just little hole in the wall hotels. I don't know. You've been walking around here more times than I have. Did you notice that? You walk, 100 feet and you pass by a couple these tiny little hole in the walls. They look like somebody's house, but they painted hotel, out
they're
on.
Bigger than that in many cases. They look like old hotels is what they look like to me.
But there's a bunch of them.
No, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. And I haven't seen a whole lot of restaurants, but I haven't been doing a lot of exploration quite yet. We've been pretty busy here.
Restaurants are wall to wall around this section of town.
Are they? I didn't see a whole lot of them today when I was walking.
Well, you went in the back area.
Okay.
La Playa.
I guess. I don't know. I went down the main drag here, and there was a grocery store and an Oxxo, which is one of those kind of 7-Eleven looking places. But there's a lot to see in Acapulco. I mean, we're just in one tiny little section of it. There's the downtown is tremendous. We did some shopping at a mall just yesterday. Mark, that was pretty amazing. We covered that briefly on the show last night.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with the mall, as you can imagine. But they have Sam's Club just like any old place.
Yep, they do. Although there's a man with a gun standing at the front of Sam's Club here. I mean, maybe there's some of those in the United States in big cities, but I've never seen one. But of course, I don't go to Sam's Club.
What you don't have, so even if you see
a man with a shotgun at this one,
even if you see a security guard with a handgun, remember it doesn't matter what the gauge of the caliber of the piece of metal that flies through you. It will kill you.
Sure.
So, the guy with the handgun is probably about as deadly as the guy with the shotgun. The shotgun just is much more intimidating.
It looks more intimidating.
And well, I mean, you can aim better with it and that sort of thing. I mean, if you're dealing with people coming at you, you want the shotgun, not the handgun. But that's just how they do it down here.
So we're here. We'll take your calls, your thoughts. You're welcome to join us. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. To the phones and to David in New Mexico. Listening online, go ahead. David, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Presuming my buttons are working here. And they are. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the memories. I had a one-on-one conversation with Sam Walton.
With who? Oh,
Sam
okay.
Walton.
About?
At the time when what about? Just chit chat. I ran into him at a non-commercial airport, just at a little airport. He was flying his plane, I was flying mine, and there was.
How did you know it was him? I mean, I wouldn't know Sam Walton if I mean, he's dead now, but I wouldn't know Sam Walton if I just happened to encounter him.
Well, I happen to have lived down in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is down the area where he's from, and so I'd seen his likeness a few times. Plus, there was
like in the newspaper or something.
Yeah, but plus it was pretty easy because he was coming for a Walmart grand opening in a small town in Minnesota, and the crew from the store was there to meet him, and so it was pretty obvious.
It was obvious. Okay.
Yeah, but I managed to get him off to the side and had about a 5, not quite 10-minute conversation with him one-on-one. So that's pretty cool.
It sounds pretty cool.
One more to you're short on time, so one more in the long list of corrupt judges and politicians in New Mexico that I've been providing you.
All right.
This is a funny one. I ran into a guy who was working as an usher in a movie theater a few years back, and I was telling him the corruption stories that I'd encountered in New Mexico courts, and so he told me his. He had just gotten out of prison. He had spent 13 years in prison for selling cocaine.
Whoa.
And at the time he was selling cocaine, he was a state employee. He was an engineer for the state of New Mexico. And his clientele were all the white-collar employees in his area in New Mexico government. One of his buyers was a judge that sat on the court in the city in which he lived, which in this case was Las Cruces. Mm-hmm. And so this judge was buying cocaine from him for years. And then the judge
was this a criminal court judge, a judge whose job it would be to put people in jail for selling or possessing cocaine?
Well, obviously, because he put his own drug dealer, the guy I was talking to, he put this guy in jail for 13 years, and that's the funny part of it. The drug dealer guy, the state of New Mexico employee engineer that was selling drugs on the side to all the other state employees, including this judge, didn't like it one day when the judge made some comment about not using some hypocritical comment to the press. It was in the newspaper about not using cocaine or not bad things about cocaine and people who use cocaine.
Yeah.
All at the same time that he was using it. So what this drug dealer guy did is he took a photograph that he had of the judge snorting cocaine off the hood of a car.
Wow.
and he published that photograph. And so guess what? So then the cops find this drug dealer state employee guy, and they arrest him on some new drug charges. So the guy was a drug dealer, but he got arrested on a drug deal that he never did. He got arrested and hauled into court, charged and tried and convicted of a drug sale that he never made, that was completely made up. And the judge that was trying him was the judge that he had humiliated. And so this judge,
I'm surprised he couldn't get a recusal if he'd published this picture. That at the very least he could demand the recusal on those grounds.
You can demand it, but the judge himself is the one who has to grant it.
Yeah,
and if he doesn't, then you've got to appeal. You've got to appeal that decision.
I'm surprised he wouldn't get win on an appeal.
And there's a certain term for that. I forget what it is. It's where you pause the trial in order to appeal a thing. There's a certain legal Latin term for that.
That would be an interlocutory appeal.
Yeah, interlocutory. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't
Great
know
story,
how
David.
it all went down. Yeah.
Anything else you want to share tonight? Go ahead.
I was once in Mexico, and I was, like an old west town right on the border town. This was like 20, 30 years ago. And I walked into a saloon, and it was like a scene out of, some old Western movie, standing there watching the band, and people are sitting at tables having drinks, and they're all wearing cowboy hats and that whole look. And then in walk the federales, and they're all big guys, all over 6 feet tall, carrying submachine guns, walking into the bar. So that's a different. You were talking about the guy with the gun out in front of Sam's Club, and so it's like being in America, being in a bar, and then just as a normal practice, the SWAT team walks in and just kind of hangs out in the bar with all their SWAT equipment. So that was kind of a Yeah, so,
you see those guys everywhere down here. I thank you, David, for the call tonight. I saw a bunch of them just kind of lounging around yesterday as we were driving in downtown Acapulco. I was looking over on the side of the road, and there was just a load of these federales. Probably at least 15, maybe 20 of them, just lounging.
I saw 6 trucks full of them going by. Different 6
types, in a row?
Yep, 6 in a row. Different types of cops. So state, federalis, municipal. Each of them up there with these sort of racks on the back of the pickup truck and rifles in their hands.
Let's go to the phones here. Nick is on the line in New Mexico. Nick, you got to turn down whatever it is you're listening to there. Are you with us? That's all right. You got to talk to us, not listen. Go ahead.
Hey, I got a good scoop on Bezos.
Okay.
My friend is kind of into hacking and computers and stuff, and I guess, I don't know, somehow he got his hands on it.
You're saying he got his hands on a picture of Bezos' junk, is what you're saying?
Yeah, but guess what? Where there should be junk, it's just a barcode.
Thanks for the call tonight. Yeah. A lot of these...
Scan me, baby.
Yeah, so this, again, throwback to the conversation we had earlier about pictures of junk on the Internet. And somebody had called in to say that Leo Laporte's had his junk on the Internet, and he actually ended up posting that picture in the Discord chat. And how can you tell? If it's just a picture of somebody's junk, unless it's a wide shot where you can see their face, and of course even now we know that things like that can be easily faked. How do you know, right? Unless somebody can certify, one of his ex-girlfriends or whatever can certify, oh yeah, there's his birthmark or whatever. You don't know. You don't know. Who knows? Out of time for tonight, but we will be back tomorrow from this beautiful location in Acapulco, Mexico. You still got time to get down here if you're the last-minute type of person. If you've been procrastinating about Anarchapulco, you still got a whole, basically, most of a week before the official event kicks off.
And if not, we'll tell you all about it.
And we certainly will tell you about a portion of it because we can't know all about it because we can only experience a fraction of the event. But we'll see you tomorrow. freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.